So welcome to our webinar. My name is Konrad, and together with Daniel, I want to welcome you to our presentation of the new version 3.0 of our product LemonTree. This version is now available for public and is announced with many new and innovative features. And you're very welcome to give it a try after this presentation. For this, please download the latest version from our website. And if you have already LemonTree keys, please contact us. We will simply exchange them. LemonTree is currently has more than 3,000 users in more than 30 countries all over the world. And at this point, we want to thank you for your trust in our software and in our company, and for your valuable feedback in the last years. And we collected your feedback and developed an application in its third version, focusing on splitting models for parallel development and versioning. And the goal was to be able to reuse model parts in different projects to ensure building sustainable models and sustainable modeling workflows for distributed teams. And to give you a brief overview of LemonTree, of these new functionalities and the motivation behind them, we want to show you now our LemonTree video first.
For more than 2 decades, Enterprise Architect has been the modeling platform to represent complex technical systems in a graphical model. Its modeling approach provides even inexperienced users with a clear overview and easily facilitates analysis, testing, and further development. Enterprise Architect is currently used by over 850,000 people in all areas of industry, but there's always room for more.
Today, models play a central role over the lifecycle of complex technical systems. For example, they enable us to trace all development steps and to document them in detail to ensure compliance of regulations and standards. In order to be able to better manage the model versions created in the development process, LemonTree has developed an add-on for Enterprise Architect called LemonTree. With LemonTree 3.0, we are now entering a new era in which model versioning opens up completely new possibilities.
When developing LemonTree, we focused on 3 important areas: product line engineering, the supply chain, and team-based collaboration. Let's have a look at product line engineering. Models can be divided and individually versioned, and each submodel can have its own life cycle. The split models can be merged again at any point in the process. Individual model parts can be reused in different projects and further developed in parallel. LemonTree supports a platform approach for modeling. Models can be divided into either platform components or project components. Reuse and life cycles both play an important role here. Then there's the supply chain. Model parts or components can be cleanly extracted from a model and made available to suppliers. After further development, the components can be reintegrated into the model. Conversely, engineers at suppliers can quickly and easily import predefined model packages into Enterprise Architect. Parts can be defined as read-only, so that a supplier is able to use them but does not have access to modify them. Complex projects require team-based collaboration. For this, parts of a model, or even the entire model, can still be managed as an Enterprise Architect project in versioning systems such as Git. If a component of the model has evolved during parallel editing, it can easily be re-imported, thanks to the Smart Merge function of LemonTree. With its integrated dependency analysis, model parts can be precisely defined before exporting them. Mutual dependencies can be examined or eliminated if necessary. That's just a few examples of how LemonTree can improve your Enterprise Architect workflow, but there are many more. Don't hesitate to contact our team for a comprehensive and more personalized overview or to request a demo version.
With LemonTree 3.0, LibreLibre takes your versioning to a whole new level. We also offer a range of services such as training, support and tool integration to make your modeling and development process more productive and cost-efficient.
LemonTree is already being used by many satisfied customers. Everything is more exciting with a shot of lemons, even the most complicated models. LemonTree, fresh model versioning.
So before Daniel will show you the new features of LemonTree 3.0, I will discuss the idea and theoretical concepts behind very briefly. We have here an initial enterprise architect model. It can be a central database or an EAP file. And as first step, we can create so-called shared components out of the existing packages. In contrast to traditional export features, we can combine different packages of different levels of hierarchy. And finally, they are published in a so-called package repository. And out of this repository, you can consume or use the packages or the package components with valid dependencies. And the created EA models can be changed, further developed, and finally, you can give them back to the package repository. And the main idea behind is that the individual components can have an own lifecycle. So you can branch them out, you can tag specific versions, you can merge them back, etc. And thus, you can benefit from all features of a modern version control system such as Git. So existing and established versioning workflows from software engineering can be simply reused. So let's move on to the practical part of this presentation. Daniel will show you now live the most important features of LemonTree 3.0. Thank you.
Hi, this is Daniel. No, just kidding. I take the mask off. So life is life, as we say. So we have chosen not to record any video, but to show you LemonTree 3.0 working. So what I have here is I have an enterprise architect model that is hosted in a SQL Server repository. What I did, I created the shortcut with this save shortcut functionality. And if you do not encrypt your connection string, you can call LemonTree just like you normally would. And it starts up. And we have a new capability here. With LemonTree 3.0, you have the option to diff enter EAP models against ODBC or OLEDB models as well. So you can establish a workflow where you work in Git, but you publish your model to a centralized database repository or even a ProCloud repository, and you can still diff with LemonTree. In my case, I do not want to do the boring job of typing in the connection string right now. So I will use a shortcut file from Enterprise Architect and select it just like I would a normal EAP file, and I can click on compare, and LemonTree will load now the models. In the top, you can see one is the database model, the other one is the EAP model. Everything else is just like you would be used to from LemonTree. If you've never seen it, yes, we can also diff diagrams. The green is the new one. Most of the users in this meeting today will use LemonTree already, so we will not go into more detail. Again, this is very handy if you want to run a workflow where you compare EAP files in version control with models that you published for a wider audience in your organization. The next thing I want to show you is most exciting change for me, because in reality, it was such a simple change, but it has a big impact. I select 2 test models and run yet, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. It's live, you can see. So the zoom bar is in the way of my UI experience. So I can click on compare now with these 2 models. And what we did is we finally have a nice representation if you have RTF or HTML content in your model. In this case, it's linked documents in a use case, and we can show now the differences in green and red, just like you would expect from a text-based diff tool. On the merge, you still have to decide for one option, but this is already a huge benefit if you have models that contain text. It also works with tables and stuff. So really a cool feature that comes in handy very quickly. Now, the LemonTree 3 part. We will open up a model. Let's take this one. And I will start to show you the main changes with LemonTree 3. For one, there is a LemonTree add-in menu that we introduced with the 2.6 version of LemonTree, but in the past it only had the Git features. So when you have people that are not so familiar with Git, it helps you to bring them on board with a Git-based workflow. A feature I particularly like is that I can see which is the branch that I currently selected. Very helpful. Or I can pull, I can commit and push changes, I can do a diff, I can show the version history of the particular element. And again, do a diff of historic versions, something that can be really hard when you work with an XMI-based version control or baseline version control flow. It's always a hard job to compare to historic versions. The more interesting feature of LemonTree 3.0 is the MPMS, as we called it during development, feature set, which basically is model slicing to have reusable model components. It gives you the capability to build reusable model libraries. You can use it in the same project to split the big project into smaller EAPs, or you can use it for a platform approach where you have platform components. And for example, in a Volkswagen project, you want to use an older version of a controller. In a BMW project, you want to use a newer version of a controller. Still, you can continue to develop your platform, but in your enterprise architect model for customer A, you use the old one. For customer B, you use the new one. And whenever you want to update customer A to the latest version of the component, it's just a few clicks away. To show this, I will first create a new model. My joke at the moment is it's Tuesday, so we call the model B. Again, the zoom is a little bit in my way. And now we have a model. The first thing we have to do when we want to use the reusable components, I have to configure the library directory, the repository. So I click on the configure option in the LemonTree add-in. The UI shows up. I select a directory. In my case, it's in this LemonTree 3 development, and I choose the directory. And so Zoom is not my best friend today. I click on save. So now we configured the model to show, to know where the repository of components is. You can see an additional model root called MPMS that stores the configuration of this reusable component stuff inside the model itself. The next step is I try to import a component. So let's click on import. And we will see my directory contains several components that I can use and import into my model. We will start with the system context, which I want to modify. And I click on it. And you can see, clicking the system context, automatically the UI also chooses to select base architecture and domain knowledge model, because it knows there is a dependency between the system context and the base architecture domain knowledge model. But here comes the clever bit. I can choose not to import those and just import the system context. The import is running, and I close the LemonTree UI. I reload the model, and you can see we have now a system context imported. And the nice thing about this is that we have a placeholder concept. So if there is dependencies from my system context outside, for example, in this case to the base architecture, we create placeholder elements. So I can use this element just like a normal element. For example, I create an actor and say, okay, there is a traceability relationship between this actor and this block. Still, the real element is not here. It's a placeholder element. I can modify it. I can add nodes. I can add elements. And at the later stage, if I wish to do so, I can go back to the import and choose to load those missing packages at any time. So I choose those two. And here comes another very nice feature. We can select to import those read-only. I will do this if I do not want the project to change those library components. I click on import again. And you can see if you worked with XMI, you can see the performance is really good because we use an internal format that is optimized for reading these types of data. The placeholder package is gone. And you can also see in the base architecture context, the element was replaced with the real element now, and still the relationship we created with the actor is present. The read-only packages is interesting. They are installed in a referenced components folder, and I can use them. So for example, we go to this package and I choose the charging device. I create the link, but I cannot create an outgoing link. If I go here and say trace, I will get the warning, this package is locked, do not modify. The other way around works because as seasoned enterprise architect users will know, the connector is always stored in the source. So this way it works. I can create additional content based on these read-only components that are really like a platform library ready to be used. So once I'm done with my changes and I'm happy, I can do something very interesting. I can return the package to the sender or make it available to other possible users. I click on publish. And here comes a very trick thing or very advanced thing on our solution. Wherever you have reasons to compare stuff, you have the full power of LemonTree available. So as you can see, this is the package that was changed. And I do not simply have the option to publish. I can, yes, I can, but I always can click on show changes and check out what was altered in the model. In this case, we still can remember we worked on the system context and added two new items. One was the read-only item with the relationship. The other one was the actor with the trace relationship. And now I can make a really educated guess if I want to export it or not. In my case, I choose to publish it. You can write the note on the publish. We skip that for now. Okay, so now we simulated being a user of reusable model components, okay? Let's go back to the folder that contains my reusable model components. It's this development folder. And here comes another very handy thing we developed. You can double click on a component and it will open up in LemonTree. It always annoyed me with XMI that I had no chance to look into the XMI without importing it into a model first. In this case, I can browse the model using the LemonTree UI and check out all the properties, check out all the diagrams, get an overview before I decide to use it. Very helpful. Also, you can open up LemonTree to compare two different versions of NPMS files. Maybe I show you this as well, just to give you an idea. So if you have two versions of NPMS files, we can also compare it by selecting LemonTree NPMS file in the UI, and you can work the same way as you can with EAPs for diffing NPMS files. Now, the logical next question is, how do you arrive at those NPMS packages? So we open up a file I prepared. It's called, it's not in this branch, obviously, interesting. It's here, okay. So it's called Advanced Model Component Sample. We open it up, and you can see in this NPMS folder already two packages have been created, customer B and the platform. And now we will try to create a third package. What is a special thing here is that I have a modeling pattern where customer A is below architecture, customer A is below requirements, customer A is below use cases. Now I want to create a component that contains basically everything customer A without containing other stuff. So I go to the components, specify. I have to shut up Skype. My colleagues send me hello world stuff. So here you can see the customer B was generated and the platform. And you can already see there is a dependency between customer B and platform. So what we will do next, we will create a new component. And I can always create a component just for one package like this. But in my case here, we want to create a component that contains architecture, use cases, and requirements. To do so, I can select packages from anywhere in the containment tree and create the component. Once it's created, I will again see the dependencies that I did or in my model. So it looks good. There is only ingoing dependencies from customer to platform, no cyclic references. You can also see here is a lock, which means that the platform component was designed to be a read-only component. Also a handy feature, you also have the option to export already as read-only. So, okay, we click on close. It asks me, do you want to publish? And because the others have not published, we will see 3 packages to be published. And you can see the dependency again. Customer A depends on platform, customer B depends on platform, and you can see the log for the read-only. And I can publish those 3, and they will be again written to the directory I defined. So the platform job is done now, and we go back to the model we used before, which is this BBB model. And we call import again. And obviously, we expect that we now have 3 more components to import. And to make it easier to understand, I will just import the customer A and the platform. Click on import. And you now will see that this namespaces or package design that was done as part of the model definition is still maintained despite I imported customer A, and I had to import platform as read-only. So you can also see the platform was also split into 3 packages, just like it was before. And when we look at the diagram, you can see this is a platform use case. It comes from the read-only platform elements. So again, as before, I will not be able to create a link in this direction because it's obviously a read-only component. Okay, nice, and an advanced feature basically is that we can add now an additional element like this, one more actor, and create and some stuff, dependency in this case. And I now have also the next option, which is the revert. And the revert is interesting because the revert allows me to use LemonTree merge to decide which of the changes that I have done to imported components I want to take back. So if I click on revert, you will see the LemonTree UI just like you would see in a Git use case, and you can decide if you want to keep the actor and maybe remove just the dependency, and you can revert in a very element-driven way and have full control over how you revert the changes you did to your platform component. Okay, so this is in a nutshell the changes we did to LemonTree 3. I think it's really cool that we have probably the first commercial modeling slicing solution available in the market. If you have an existing LemonTree 3 maintenance, the upgrade will be free. It's also rather simple to upgrade because the standard LemonTree 3 is just the best LemonTree 2.6 there ever was. So you can start your upgrade soon and just decide later on if you want to use and facilitate the new MPMS features or not. Another use case for the MPMS features could be if you import requirements from a foreign system, you create an MPMS, when you get an update of the requirements, you can check what changed, stuff like that. Really handy stuff and rather easy to use. So I think from the demo perspective, that was it. Let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation. So we have fast JSON export import. One of the very powerful features is the dependency analyzer, where we are working on improving it even more, make it easier to find dependencies in the model once LemonTree detected them. We can do a diff on the database repositories, MySQL, MS SQL. We have the capabilities for read-only packages, read-only components. The Git client in Enterprise Architect got richer, more powerful. We have the text diff for the linked documents. Maybe you forgot by now because I told you so many things in so little time, and many more little features. And yeah, the conclusion is still the same. We still try to make established workflows from software engineering workable and usable for model-based systems engineering and other modeling domains. So the Git stuff is still true. It still works very nice and is still a USP in the market that we support Git with modeling. No other commercial solution, despite LemonTree and Enterprise Architect, can deliver this today. The reusing assets, reusing components allow you to do a PLE platform approach. You have full control. You can do scenarios. You can try out to improve a component and then decide if you want to bring it into all products or not, and stuff like that. It's really powerful. And the idea or why we do this is to have always a consistent development state because of the precise versioning. So that's it from me today. I think we have questions, and Konrad will ask the questions and we will try to answer them.
Yes, thank you. So maybe we can answer some questions. Is the creation of links also disabled if the LemonTree add-in in Sparks is not active?
Yes, it is. Because we are using a feature of Enterprise Architect and not a feature of the add-in.
The next question, what if the referenced component gets changed? How can it be refreshed?
If the reference component gets changed, you see in the import, if you open the import, that there is a new version, and you can make a diff and decide if you want to import it or not.
Are the diff diagrams shown exportable to a report document? Okay, this is not the case.
No.
And is the EA LemonTree add-in also working with subversion?
Yes, it is working for the MPMS part, but the simplified user interface you've seen for Git, we have not yet done for subversion, because the best practice for LemonTree, and I think this is also important to remind people, is to use Git and use a feature-based branched approach, like for example Git flow. So the pressure for Git was higher, and we see subversion becoming less and less important for LemonTree. If you have a big request, we still can discuss it, but so far we have seen much more interest in the Git world than in the subversion world for the add-in support, because also Git is a little bit more complex. It was developed originally because we had a group of systems engineers that wanted to work in a feature-based branched way, and they were not software engineers, so they needed a little bit of help and make it easier to jump into the Git boat, and that's why it was developed. This was the whole idea. And for subversion, I don't really see it as necessary as for Git.
Okay, so is there one more question?
Yes, the functionality can also be used to split up huge models. This is also maybe interesting. LemonTree can load pretty big models, but LemonTree also likes good hardware. So if you want to work with huge models in LemonTree, we recommend the late model CPU, 16 to 32 gigabyte of RAM. So LemonTree is a high performance application, and it deserves to run on good hardware. It will also work on lesser hardware, but maybe you need a little bit more patience at the time.
Okay, thank you. There is one more question about Git. Could we use a Git submodule to include the reference to the platform model from project?
Here, I'm not the Git expert to answer this question, but we will collect it. My first guess would be yes, but I'm not absolutely sure. We have to talk to our Git pros.
Okay, so I think
SVN is beneficial for huge models, is in the question and answers. Most people, it depends. If you use the SVN in the LemonTree way to check in EAPs, or if you use the SVN in the traditional enterprise architect way, where you split the models up into individual XML files, it depends, you know. With Git and LemonTree, you use the EAP approach. With SVN, you have both options, but you always need to obtain an exclusive log. If you do a change, you cannot do optimistic. You have no capabilities to do branching with SVN if you split it up in the traditional enterprise architect way. So if you want more details about the comparison, how LemonTree and Git hold up against SVN and LemonTree, or SVN and enterprise architect integrated features, I'm more than happy to do a session with you one-to-one.
So from Mr. Bachmann, there is one more question. What happens if somebody without LemonTree starts to modify the model? Will he break anything?
No, unless he deletes something in this MPMS model, he cannot break anything. We do not work against enterprise architect. We try to use enterprise architect features, like for the locking. As I explained, we use a feature from enterprise architect. You cannot destroy it unless you delete some of our internal packages that we use for the components. You cannot break it. And again, as we value the GUIDs, there is, even if they delete the MPMS package, there is a way to bring it back again. So maybe this is really interesting. The thing about our components is that the GUIDs of the elements stay the same over all projects. So if you later on, for example, would put the models into the data warehouse, you could find out which project use which models and stuff like that. We actually have customers that do stuff like that. And you have a lot of possibilities because we value the GUID and the element stays the same, no matter in which EAP it is currently hosted.
Okay, so thank you. Maybe one final question. With the reusable model approach, which extension of the model is still like EAP when we split large models into small modules? So, do you understand the question? No. So which extension? You mentioned the JSON file that you can import it into EAPs and work with the splitted models with different EAPs.
Exactly.
We will answer the questions and publish it on the help page.
We have one more question from Jordi. Importing a model makes a copy of it or it links into it. Jordi, it makes a copy because this is exactly our idea, that you can an updatable copy that you can use in one project, the old version, and once you find out you need to update this platform component, you can update it when it fits your project lifecycle, and not like if you do one shared model that everything is updated automatically. Can I export the difference results as a report? This is a question we get from time to time. It depends on what use case you want to fulfill with that. We had not so nice experience with this type of features because people built workflows to save licenses and then said our tool is not good. Most of the time, our approach is to get the data live like a historical diff of 2 versions. Why would I need to save the data if I can recall the information all the time? Which EA version is required? Good question. Generally, we recommend late model EA. I would say anything above 14.1. Technically, there might not be limits, but I would not recommend generally, not just because of LemonTree, to use older versions than 14.1 maybe.
Okay, so that's it.
Any more questions? Konrad and I will stick around a little longer if there is more questions. Thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to work with you to deploy LemonTree 3.0 in your organizations.